and the Organised Private Sector, NLC President Joe Ajaero, expressed that the president's response would significantly influence organized labor's forthcoming actions.
Two reports, have been sent to the president. And then the NLC will wait, as a matter of fact, for the next line of action based on how the president handles this matter. The NLC will not have its position forwarded to the president and go ahead, to take certain action. But when the president finally, takes a decision on this, the National Executive Council, will have a lot to discuss.
Also, in Trade Goods Act Section 43, the employer also have the rights not to pay for work not done. No work, no pay. It's part of our law. It's part of our law. That's what I'm talking about. So where should the employer get the money to pay when work is not done? It's a rule of natural justice. If I'm not open for business, then how do you expect me to? Where do I get the money to pay from? It's a rule of natural justice.
Joining us in the studio is public affairs analyst Muyiwa Ogunlaja. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio, Mr. Ogunlaja. Good morning. Right, so what's your analysis of the ongoing minimum wage negotiations, considering the federal government's offer of 62,000 naira, labor's adamant demand of 250,000 naira, and the organized private sector's proposal of 54,000 naira? It's just a whole lot of mixed bags. What exactly has been your reading of all of this?
Thank you. The present imbroglio on the anticipated minimum wage is a reflection of corrupt reading Nigerian society, where the belief is that let those who are worthy continue to have more, and let the poor be humbled into submission. And as the president pleaded that we should allow them to breathe, they are going to suffocate to death. There is no disputing the fact that the economy is in a comatose, and we should all make efforts to ensure its growth. But where there is flagrant display of opulence by some people who are supposed to be kind-hearted, people-centered, humane, God-fearing, and they are not doing all this, to the extent that you drive commoners out of the streets with your fleet of vehicles, SUVs, new one, all these convoy vehicles, and you're not asking Nigerians to now come to collect paltry sum. Who survives Nigeria now with anything that less than 200,000 naira? Who survives? There's no room and parlor in Lagos State that is less than about 20,000 naira per month. And when your salary is just 60,000 naira, the moment you take rent out of it, you're in trouble. And to what's the matter? NEPA is now 225 per kilowatts.
For the band A's.
For band A. Even those who are not in band A, you just find the band A something on your system, and when you go to report, you say that meter, it was supposed to be in Lekki, supposed to be there. Who made that mistake? So the point I'm making is that our leaders must be be conscious of what they are doing. As predators, if your survival depends on the people you are serving. If as predators you decide to kill senselessly the animals in the same cage with you, then by the time you have done all that, when you are now starving, what will you kill again? And mind you, when people are pushed to the wall, the response is always not palatable. And I hope the Nigerian government and the powers that be will not allow this to happen.
All right.
So based on that, I want to say that the current imbroglio, the current between labor, the organized private sector, which has now taken side with the government, is uncalled for, because antecedents and what we are saying has not shown that the economy is so bad that this amount cannot be accommodated.
All right, so let's be very realistic here. The 250,000 naira that the labor is
Yes.
asking, how realistic is this?
That
aside, there are other issues that come into play here, such as sustainability, viability, and also the productivity of the staffs involved that we are fighting in. Some of these states, how viable are they? In the sense that if you look at their internally generated revenue, what they are bringing in, some of these states should not even exist in the first place, because some of these states are sometimes even larger than some other countries in terms of resources, in terms of manpower and all. So what do you make of this? Answer my first question.
Okay, thank you. I want to say that demand of labor for 250,000 naira per month as minimum wage is a bit outrageous. I agree with that. But labor knows what it's doing. It's like when you go to the market. No market woman will tell you the exact price.
So are
knowing
they pricing the
yes, knowing full well that you are going to do some cutting of the price. So that's why it's called, there will be engagement, the bilateral discussion. The moment you have a point, a starting point, when you are discussing, if your starting point is your end point, you can't discuss again. So starting point of labor was actually about 1,000, about 100 and something thousand, 100 and some, almost a million. That was the first demand before they went. When they now moved to 449. Later they moved down. Now they are saying 250. But the point I'm saying is that government is taking people for granted. Let me put it that way. I mean the tripartite committee. Because you are not dealing with people as if they are beggars. You are moving from 30,000 to 40,000. You are 40,000 to 60,000. Now said 62,000. What are you doing? Have you seen that people are not human beings?
But this committee mentioned that while considering that 62,000 naira, they had to take into consideration some of our relatives, the sustainability of some states.
Very good.
Because if this state cannot pay, that's providing another larger problem.
Okay. One of the realities is that all states in Nigeria, they are extravagant. What is a state like? Okay, I don't mention. What are some states doing with retinue of advisors, political liaison officers, commissioners? Under normal circumstances, no state should have more than 10 commissioners. There are civil servants there. There are permanent secretaries there. Commissioners are made to coordinate, to give direction based on the policy of government. After commissioners, what do you need? Military regimes have had in the past that perform very well with only commissioners, just about 10 or 12. You don't need advisors, you don't need all these. So if you can cut costs, definitely you make the money available. Then what is the wastage in terms of people, officers, public officers being given new vehicles, new housing and all this while. When I was in school, we look forward to coming out and buying a Beetle that was just 2,000 naira then. 2,000 naira will be with insurance, with number plate, with all the documents.
And then you buy fuel at around 7 naira.
7 naira then. How many public servants can look forward to buying new vehicles now? Only Tokumbo, 50 years of use. How many can say, I want to have my own building now? You dare not. So the point, like the studies carried out in 2016, that for an average Nigerian earning about 16,000 or 18,000 naira the minimum wage, we did about 750 years. 750 years to earn the salary of a serving senator then. 750. So what are we saying? That was then, not now. That is now among us. That is now killing. That is now unreasonable. So how and the same market will go to. So someone earning about 25 million every month, someone pleading to earn 250, which I consider to be a bit high, I agree, but 62,000 naira per month is insulting.
Apart from the fact that the fact that you said, or your position, that state governments are being wasteful and all of that. The allocations following the removal of fuel subsidy
has gone up.
Are now receiving, at least in May, they spent 1.14 trillion naira shared along the states. And some who actually got more, the oil-producing states and all of that.
Yes.
Do you feel that our governors are not, or our states, are not exactly creative when it comes to identifying leakages and also identifying sources of revenue where they can make enough money to pay this money? Because we've seen some governors who are vehemently saying that, no, we can't afford this. The only thing you think we can do is if you want us to be owing you. There are some states that are still paying that have not even honored the 30,000 naira minimum wage. So where do we go from here?
You identify two factors there now. Leakages and additional source of revenue.
Yeah.
There is no state government in Nigeria that does not know where the leakages are. But they allow these leakages to continue because it's the only way of siphoning money out. That's the truth.
For those who
there
are
is no state,
exploring the leakages.
Yes, there is no state that does not have what you call trained men, trained personnel, trained tax officers, trained revenue officers who will not point out to them this and this and this as sources of leakages. At least it's been done in Lagos. And when these are blocked, look at what happened to internal generated revenue in Lagos State. That's not to say that there are no leakages anyway. We still have. Then, there is no state again that cannot look inwards and say that let us generate money this way. I remember when Lagos State was under punishment in court by the then head of state, President Basanjo.
Yeah.
The state was paying salaries without getting a federal government allowance or allocation, and the state was managing. So it looked inwards and it survived. If that could happen, then what stops other states from doing so? So the point is that...
So are you invariably saying that the current administration should punish other states so that they will be able to think?
No.
When you're stifled...
No. I'm not saying they should. Actually, the current administration is baby feeding states now. What most states are getting now, I just can't believe it. We cannot see the corresponding improvement in what is happening. Most roads are bad. There are no good roads. The good ones are just federal roads. In some other states, even neighboring states, in Lagos, the state government is trying, but that's not so that it is El Dorado. No, Ogun State just don't mention it. Other in the eastern state don't mention it. So what are they doing the money? Apart from the innovation of Governor Otiti, that's not giving the state Abia electricity now, and tell the people that ask your governors what are they doing with their money, because the federal government has given enough money. I don't want the problem to be that of the federal government alone. I know the federal government does not have its own fault, but let us start looking at these state governments too. What are they doing with their resources? What are they doing? Apart from, as I've said, apart from perhaps Lagos, one can see the new bridge in Yaba. You can see other bridges in Abulegba. You can see other ones ahead. You can see, okay, some of the money spent here. What have they done? Where have they spent the money? On what? So if you are not saying that you cannot pay workers who are bringing in this money, then why are you appointing advisors? Why are you appointing liaison officers? Why are you saying that? Why are you improving the salaries of political officers? Why are you enhancing their salaries and their pays? Why are you giving them severance package? For someone who served for only 4 years, you have someone who put 35 years of service has not been able to get his retirement benefits. What are we saying?
And talking about wealth creation, does this mean that some state governors are not confident in the productivity of some of the civil servants in their state, and that's why they're vehemently turning down the minimum wage that is agreed on? If you look at states like Edo recently increased the minimum wage to 70,000 naira and Cross River to 40,000 naira.
Yes.
And just yesterday, the Southwest governors met also talking about food security and making sure that we get a good template to ensure that at least within the region we are able to manage some of these issues. What should be the way forward here? Because the state governors are saying they cannot afford it. Well, the Tripartite Committee have forwarded their report to the president, and he has the veto to approve that anyways. But how are we sure that when this is approved, the NSC will not come back, looking at the cost of inflation, the inflation and everything that we are going through in some months' time, to ask for another price?
Thank you. Those in the NLC, though they could be hot-headed, they are actually very brilliant, and they have access to pool of information and what I'll call, they have access to gentlemen who know their onions, who will not just advise them against economic principles and realities of life. But the question I want to ask, the question I would like to answer here is that most of our governors, they are of the opinion that civil servants or public servants are really not important. That's where I put it. Although I agree that just the entire Nigerian population, just about 20% of our public servants, I agree. But what you have not understood is that for every public servant, you have dependents that are more than 100. Every public servant, a lot of dependents. If you retrench or retire a public servant today, you have sent about 50 people out of the market. That's what they have not understood. And most of the policies have been galvanized, have been articulated, and have been executed by these people. So what I'm saying is that there should be, and they see what they are doing.
So in very, are you saying that they should be paid based on the number of people that are their dependents, or they should be paid, based on their productivity?
No, they should be paid based on their productivity. But they should not be seen as people you can discard. When you talk about minimum wage discussion, how can any group of people, for God's sake, start thinking about increasing minimum from 60,000 naira to 2,000 naira increment? Does that show any seriousness? Let us say that. Let us say that.
How productive do you think the civil service has been compared to the private sector in the country in contributing to the economy?
The wrong notion, which is unfounded, which is a fallacy, is that in the private sector, people work harder than those in the public sector.
Isn't that a reality?
It is not a reality, and I'll let you know it's not a reality. Number one, those in the private sector, they have all the wherewithal. There's not hardly any officer in the private sector that doesn't have a computer system to himself. There's hardly any officer in the private sector that is not given money for good dressing, to make himself comfortable, to have a driver, to have this. All these ideas, as a result, the time you want to work, you cannot concentrate and do and achieve what you want to. The public servants will not have all this. And to get results, he will drive himself to office. He will use bureaucracy,
red tapeism, delay.
No, that is the system, not the servant. You see, you must differentiate between the system, the public service system, and the public servant. Those who are there know what to do. But the system will not allow them to do it because, one, I have no system to work with. They have no computer system to work with. They cannot network. They cannot get information when needed. Even when they do, they cannot tamper with the information. You have to see this and see that before you make.
You are blaming this on a lack of resources to work.
Where with that?
The productivity of the average Nigerian worker.
What is productivity? It is what you turn out based on what you have. I cannot give out. I cannot give what I don't have.
But some see them as resistant to change whenever they want to introduce, new technology that will actually boost efficiency. You say, this is going to lead us to lose our job, and some people have actually, accused the civil service of, endemic corruption, because you can't get some. We've got some commissioners coming to this place who would say, some private, sectors who would say they want to introduce something to the government, but they'll be asking, what's in need for me? And so the endemic corruption, the lack of productivity, and resistance to change. As all of these factors have bedeviled the civil service. Okay. So how do we address this vis-a-vis the national minimum wage?
The point has to be understood. There is no system that is fault-proof. Even in the private sector, you still have this endemic corruption. If I go to a bank now and I want to leave the bank in 2 minutes' time, what I need to do is just to see the person there, put an envelope on the floor, and present him my check, and it will be cashed immediately. Is that not the private sector? What are we saying? So the point I'm making is that it is the person. The system is already corrupted. No wonder David Cameron did say that Nigeria is fantastically corrupt. Being fantastically corrupt is not only public servants.
As much as their country as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Because most of this corruption money,
they go their country and they go there, they keep it for us because we are not patriotic enough.
So they are fantastic.
How many of them bring their own stolen money here? If they are really fantastically corrupt, how many? So what are you saying? Why don't you put your money where you are? Invest the money here. Let there be return on the investment you have stolen. So that people will not talk too much. They will say at least you are benefiting from what you have stolen. How many people are benefiting? And by the time they die, the money is lost. Some of their children don't even know the key. They don't know the passwords.
So you were saying regarding...
So I'm saying this one that it is... That's not to say that the system is fault-proof. I agree. There are problems to be solved. But do not say because you want to solve problem, you not make people starve. How can you tell a man that has a lot of a gentleman that you move from? Do you know that now government has so much done that they even allow you to go to work 3 times a week? Government itself knows that because of cost of transportation, you don't want, you know that it's killing. That is an acceptance of the fact that what you are giving them, is not good enough.
That's right.
I would say that will not affect productivity. It should definitely affect productivity. But I know that the president, in his own wisdom, will allow the poor to breathe. He will look at. I remember that when the last minimum was to be passed, the recommendation was 27,000 naira per annum.
That's right.
Per month. But the president then increased from 27 to 30,000 naira. I want to believe that the incumbent president will do something like that. I'm not asking for 250,000. I would not support that. But anything below 100,000 naira is starving wage, not living wage.
All right, so very quickly, the labor based their calculation on a family of 6, 4 children, and the parents, the mother and the father.
Yes.
How realistic is it for even 250,000 naira? If we look at the cost of inflation, if we have to measure it actually,
I wonder
how viable is it?
I wonder the indices
be able to survive on that.
I wonder the indices labor use, even for the 250,000 naira, with what has been. If you look at the key performance indicators in Nigeria, housing, feeding, school fees, transportation, you are joking. Do you know that a transport fare from Oshodi to Agege, if it's not the if it's not the peak period, 400 naira per drop. If it is the peak period, 500. If it rains, 750 naira. If it rains, 750, because I have to get in quickly.
Should that be the case? Profit sharing.
That is what I'm saying is
seeking opportunities.
Whether it is, if government,
season rather.
If there are enough buses, if there are enough coaches, people will not do that. You can't do that in London, for instance. You cannot tell me that you have to increase your fare. I will go to Victoria Center or Victoria Court and join the next train, which costs more or less 3 times.
Train is expensive to
or the next bus, you only have buses. So what stops government? So if there are no alternatives, those who are there will reap. They want to, and mind you, they have to buy fuel again.
But very quickly, because of our time, all of this issue, agitation, stemmed from the lack of, or the reduction, or the weakening of the purchasing power of Nigerians. So what do you think that the government can actually do in terms of helping the Nigerian currency, to bolster it, so that we'll address the issue of food prices and all of this, and then we'll have a better, country, not just for civil service.
First one is security.
For Nigerians.
Security. Let government provide adequate security. What is happening to our food supply now? It's not what's just now. It is the effect of the past insecurities, the past 4 or 5 years, when farmers could no longer be on their farms, when they'll be harassed, their wives will be raped, their children will be killed, and they fled the farm. That's what we are witnessing now. It's not the current problem. It's not because of first subsidy. It's not because of Tinubu is there. No. It is the effect of what happened. So now, let government provide security. Farmers can go to their farms and work and be safe and be sure that they will do that. And when they do, let them harvest their crops. It's not that they will plant everything and some herdsmen will not take cattle there and those will eat up all the crops. So that's number one. Number two, let government encourage farming. There was a time when Nigerians were asked to do what? At the back of your house, do something, plant something. If it's not to plant, let that be there. Yeah. What is the National Agency on Orientation doing? Orientate people. Let them know that farming is not meant for just only farmers. We are all farmers because we all eat something. Plant something.
We should grow food.
We should grow food and it's possible. I know that in China they even build, they plant food on staircases, on deckings rather, and it's germinating. I know some friends who use sack of cement to plant to have yam to dip yam tuber and leave it after 6 months. You go there, you see what will happen. Right. So let us all do this. So don't let us just wait. And more importantly, let there be special transportation to convey agricultural goods from the rural areas to the city.
That's right.
If that is done, it will reduce the cost. which the traders are not placing on the goods.
At the end of it all, we hope for a better country. Public Affairs Analyst Muyiwa Ogunlaja, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
All right.
Right. Do stay with us here on TVC Breakfast. Coming up, the number of girls being trafficked